I've always been fascinated with BMW's M cars, and amongst these performance beasts, the M2 Comp is the most accessible. In this video, we take a tour of the BMW M2 Competition and see what it brings to the table. Let's do this. Hello guys, I'm Reagan and welcome back to another car review. If you're new to my channel, I hope you click that subscribe button for your regular dose of Philippine automotive content. If you're my subscriber already, well, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show after you click that like button. Also, special thanks to SMC Asia Car Distributors for providing the opportunity to feature the BMW M2 Competition. If you want to have the full BMW experience, head on down here to their flagship showroom located at Green Hills, San Juan. The BMW M2 Competition is the entry-level M car in BMW stable ever since the marquee has discontinued the 1M Coupe. Now, the M2 Comp was launched in 2018 and it was meant to replace the M2 at that time. Now, even if I said that the BMW M2 Competition is the entry-level M car in the stable, you still have to shell out a pretty penny in order to acquire one of these beasts. The BMW M2 Competition has a retail price of 5,890,000 Philippine pesos, which may seem like it's a lot of money, but it only comes in at a fraction of the cost of a BMW M3 or even an M4. Now, when you look at the front fascia of this M2 Competition, you'll see that it sports the same signature design cues that can be found in regular Beamers. We get this kidney grille here, but of course the material that's been used is carbon fiber. Naturally. Now, we also have a tiny M2 badge here, which further differentiates it from standard Beamers. Now, when you go down to the front bumper, you'll see that the M2 Comp has large air inlets, which help to serve cool air into that engine and helps with its performance and cooling duties. Now, I like the design of this front clip because this shows everybody that this is no regular and ordinary BMW, but it's rather an M car. Now, you wouldn't confuse it with, let's say, the BMW 218i Gran Coupe Sport that I featured a while back. And you shouldn't do that because the 218i Gran Coupe Sport is a front-wheel drive Beamer, while this M2 Competition is a fire-breathing rear-wheel drive track monster. The side profile of the BMW M2 Competition shows off its true purpose. It's clearly meant for the track because we get a set of massive 19-inch lightweight M-style alloy wheels here, and if you look inside those wheels, you'll see that you've got cross-drilled disc brakes that are over 15 inches large. Now, the brake system of the M2 Comp is also a 6-piston setup, further showing you that it is really a track monster. Now, the M2 Comp is a rear-wheel drive sports coupe, so the tires are in a staggered setup. We get 245s for your front tires and 265s for your rear tires. Now, the ground clearance also stands at 123 millimeters, which is low and expected from a sports coupe. Now, when it comes to the damping of this thing, well, the M2 Comp has fixed dampers and it has been tuned for track racing. So if you want to daily drive your BMW M2 Competition, it's going to be an exercise in hard love. Now, it also has this M-style and M-design side mirrors, and the side mirror housing is finished in carbon fiber, naturally. Now, the design of these side mirrors is meant to further reduce on the wind drag and help the M2 Competition with aerodynamics. Finally, we also have here an M2 badge right there on the front fender. But if you look at the whole side profile of this M2 Competition, and if you remove all those, well, if you don't look at all those go-fast M bits that are found here, the side profile is pretty much unremarkable, which would work well for a person who wants all of that performance without standing out. The rear end of the M2 Competition shows off more design cues that further differentiate it from a standard 2 Series. We get a stylish set of LED taillights here, and we also have a subtle ducktail spoiler that aids it when it comes to downforce. Now, the M2 Comp also has a set of quad exhaust pipes that are mounted right there in the blacked out rear diffuser, and it gives you a little hint of what kind of brutal performance the M2 Competition is capable of dishing out. Now, to further give you a hint, here's the sound of the exhaust note of this M2 Competition. Now that's what I'm talking about. Now when you pop open the trunk of the M2 Competition, you'll see that despite being a smallish sports coupe, it still has a pretty decent level of cargo capacity. The M2 Competition has 13.8 cubic feet of trunk space, which may not be a big amount of space, but it's still a hell of a lot better than most sports cars out there. Now we get to the heart of this review. The BMW M2 Competition gets the same engine that's found in the M3 and the M4, but this version of the engine has been detuned a little bit to differentiate it from the larger M3 and M4. Now, BMW's decision to give the M2 Competition the same motor as the M3 and M4 is due to the fact that there were stricter emissions regulations happening in Europe, such that the older motor of the M2 didn't really pass those regulations. So instead of coming up with a brand new motor, they just decided to give the M2 the same engine that's found in the M3 and the M4. And that engine actually meets that stricter emissions regulations. Now, this S55 motor is an inline-six twin turbocharged gasoline engine that puts out 405 horsepower and 550 newton meters of torque. All of that power is sent to the rear wheels via a 7-speed dual-clutch transmission. But if you want to have maximum fun in your M2 Comp, there's also an option to spec it in a 6-speed manual, at least in other markets. I'm not really sure if that's also available here in the Philippines. Now, the M2 Competition also gets the same electronic locking differential that's found in the M4. And yeah, when it comes to its performance, well, 0 to 100 kilometers per hour time comes in at a blistering 4.2 seconds, which is fantastic for a vehicle that costs below 6 million pesos. Now, the top speed of this thing is also electronically limited to 250 kilometers per hour. And, well, if you look at the engine bay, you'll see that it has a really nice detail here. We get this U-shaped carbon fiber tower brace right there, which adds a lot more character to this BMW M2 Competition's engine bay. The cabin of the BMW M2 Competition is clearly meant for track purpose because it's pretty bare and basic here. Now, having said that, guys, well, it still comes with some creature comforts and amenities to help give you a bit more of a comfortable drive, especially if you decide to daily drive this track monster. The seats are wrapped in what BMW calls Dakota leather, and these seats also have power adjustments for both the driver and the passenger. We also get a blue contrast stitching here, and we also have a good amount of bolsters both on the sides of the body and on your thighs, which will hold you in place when you're taking that next corner on your track day or when you're going canyon carving with the BMW M2 Competition. Now, the steering wheel is, of course, wrapped in leather as well, but I love that they gave it a contrast red and blue stitching here. Plus, we also have that M logo right there at the bottom part of the steering wheel. Naturally, we have paddle shifters here, and we also have buttons for hands-free buttons for connectivity and cruise control. Now, the steering wheel also adjusts for tilt, and it also telescopes. So that's actually also good, and it will help you find the perfect racing position when you take your M2 Competition out on a track day. Now, we also have an engine push start button here that is colored in red, which shows you that racing aspirations of the M2 Competition. Now, the instrument gauge cluster is in a full digital format, but I love that it's a nice, clean and simple layout here, something that I've come to appreciate in these BMW instrument gauges. When you move over to the infotainment system, we have here an 8.8-inch touchscreen infotainment system with Apple CarPlay and BMW's iDrive system. It also has the image of your reverse camera. You don't get a 360-degree view camera here. Granted, this is a pretty small car, and the image quality is pretty decent. Now, when you go down from there, we have here a dual-zone, fully automatic climate control system. And when you go down further, we have a pair of cup holders, which, even if this is a track monster, I will subject to my clean canteen test. So let's see. Well, it fits my clean canteen, but because of the height of my clean canteen, it will hit the climate control area. So yeah, it's a marginal pass. It can do it, but not really to the best of its ability. Now, when you go down from there, we have here the gear shifter for your dual clutch transmission. And further down, we have here an actual manual handbrake. Thank you, BMW, for giving the M2 Competition a manual handbrake, because this will make for some really good drifting action in this rear-wheel drive track monster. Now, can you imagine doing some drifting moves in an electronic parking brake button? Not gonna happen, guys. So thank you, BMW, for giving us a traditional manual handbrake. Now, when you look at the entire cabin layout of this M2 Comp, as I mentioned, it is on the bare and basic side. Of course, you have leather wrapping here all around, but it doesn't really coddle you as much as the other BMW offerings in the stable. Now, having said that, guys, well, this cabin is truly driver focused, and it will help you put your attention right on the road as you attack the next apex, the next corner, or as you just gun this thing down a mountain road. So yeah, it is really a cabin that is built for a purpose. The BMW M2 Competition is the quintessential BMW M performance car. Powerful, lightweight, no frills. It focuses on track performance, daily driving comfort be damned. Now, if only I got to fully test it out and drive it, then this review would be complete. But since we don't really have that chance as of now, well, this showroom review will have to make do for now. Thanks for watching.